Oh, look at that rich dirt. Makes me want to get it and take it to the garden. So today Matt's come out to trim where he hunts, do some trimming. Of course, you don't want to do it during deer season. And then by summertime, it's so hot, you don't want to do it then. And then, of course, he's knee-deep in gardening all summer long. So it's a chilly day today, but he's come out to do that, and I've tagged along with him. That tree that he just cut, of course, is not in the way for hunting, but it fell. How long has it been there, Matt?
15 years.
15 years or something. And this is a trail we use a lot, not just for hunting, but for other things. And we just step over it. We never cut it, but I guess today Matt decided it needed to be cut. Just tired of walking over it?
Yeah, I'm gonna get this next one too.
And there's another one. The next one is a big pine that had beetle damage. What was this one right here, Matt, that you just cut?
It was a pine.
It was a pine too, beetle damage. And a sawbriar.
Yep. There's a bunch of that.
Yeah, right there is a great place to get tangled up in the sawbriars. It's a cold day today, but it's pretty. Got some sunshine.
It is a nice day.
If the little breeze would quit, it wouldn't be that cold.
No.
It's about, what, 40?
Yep.
But you see the
About
breeze.
10 mile an hour
Here comes the breeze. It's more than a breeze. It's pretty good wind. And it's cold.
You did your fire?
No, not yet. You get to where you got some brush, I'll pile brush and I'll get warm that way.
Okay.
Rich pine?
Maybe.
So Matt's always keeping his eye out, or we all are really, but Matt's the main one, for rich pine. Rich pine's like nature's fire starter. Especially since these are dead pines, it's likely that we'll run into some. If you've seen at the beginning of the video, kind of him throwing some over to the side, that was some he'd already found. Of course, today we have so many, you can buy so many fire starters and so many different ways of starting fires. And people don't build as many fires as they did in days gone by either. Even us that we heat with wood, we're not building a fire to warm water or to cook or that kind of stuff. But years ago, Granny Gazzy, when she first come up to Wilson Holler, when Granny and Pap had their house, she walked around in the woods, and this one, Granny told me that her mother, Granny Gazzy, said, "Oh, this is the finest place I ever seen. There's just rich pine for the taking." Well, Granny Gazzy grew up in a time that she had to have that. She had to start fires every day of the world to cook, to boil water for cleaning or washing clothes or canning. I mean, all the canning and cooking and stuff like that they did was on a wood stove, plus to heat with. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, you can see those, ooh, pretty, and it smells great, don't it? Makes you think of
Smells just like turpentine.
turpentine. Yeah, that's a big solid piece. And the funny
I think
part,
that whole piece of that log's that way. It's just knotted up till I can't bust it.
oh wow, that'd be a real find. So you may wonder, well, why is the whole tree not rich pine? Well, I don't have the answer for that. You'll have to have to get someone smarter than me. But it just solidifies in certain areas of dead pines, even on live pines sometimes, where branches have died but they're still, you know, attached to the tree. But it just, resin kind of settles in certain places, and then that becomes rich pine, also called lightered knot, lightered. People call it different things. Is that what it is?
Yep.
That ought to do us a while. You can add that to your new kindling box. Matt brought home was really a piece of trash from work, a box that something had come in, but he's going to use it for his kindling box. Nice. Oh, I can smell it now. The wind's bringing it right to me. It smells so good if you like that kind of smell. Some people call it pitch pine. There's all kinds of different names. We grew up, me and Matt both did, calling it rich pine. You'll have to leave a comment and tell us what you call it in your area. Lightered knot, different things. Here's someone approaching. Be Katie. Heard you whistling.
I was whistling. And I brought snacks because I don't go anywhere without snacks.
Well, that's good. You eat snacks when you're working outside. You get hungry fast.
I do, yeah.
Your daddy probably wants some.
I should have thought about, you want one of these cheese sticks?
Me?
Yeah. Want a cheese stick?
No, I don't. Not right now. Not later.
Well, I got two, so I'll save one. I think that's Bubba Corey's water bottle. This isn't the most level ground, but it is.
You got that right. We're on a goat bluff. Yeah, your daddy says try to hunt it. I'd say try to hunt it, try to garden on it, try to live on it. You can see why the old timers would say that the cows and stuff, one leg was shorter than the other where they grazed them. Or, you know, the jokes about growing a garden like this, if you planted potatoes, you just have to dig out the bottom and let them run out. You've heard those jokes.
I did kill a deer right here.
Yeah, you did kill a deer.
Amazing as that is.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't care. They like it. They like the laurel and ivy hills, and the steep ground don't bother them a bit.
I mean, it's like, no, it ain't level.
No.
It is the sheer side of a goat bluff. I've been saying that for years. It is incredibly steep.
That's why you're called a mountaineer.
Incredibly steep on all fronts. There just really ain't a whole lot of places that are flat. There's like 4 I can count max within 500
4,
acres.
and they have been bulldozed out, or they wouldn't be flat. So what was you working on this morning? Jewelry.
Yeah, I actually managed to get 2 things in the mailbox.
Good.
Before the postmaster gets here, the courier, to collect what's in there. I put like our mail in there.
Katie's always running against the mailbox or the mail person.
Almost always beat him.
Yeah.
I'm quick. I also don't believe in spoons, so I just eat this like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Or I wash the spoon or take a chance of leaving it in the woods.
Well, you would leave it.
I would.
You can follow Katie by a trail. She leaves a trail.
Cheese stick wrappers and miscellaneous items.
So Katie's showing us, this is an example of one of the sawbriars that grow out there in a little patch. Have you noticed that, Katie? Oh, is it sticking you?
Yeah, it only stuck me right in the end
But
at the
have
bottom.
you noticed that right out here where the trees
just
2
in one
pines?
spot.
Yeah, but Matt's cutting some of them down today, but you can see how deadly they are.
These are like, I mean, some of these spikes are really close to like a 1/4 inch long. I mean, that's serious spikage. But I will say, you can see how stiff. I mean, I'd have to try really hard to break this, and I'm sure I could, but these sawbriars are incredibly stiff and thick. This is like the size of a small branch. So while these will poke you, and when they poke you, they're more likely to cut you, you're less likely to get into these and have a problem because they're so stiff. They'll stand on their own. You can pull away from them easily, but if you get into like a blackberry bush, those branches are so thin and floppy,
those briars
and
just you
they'll
leave
get
with
you.
them.
Yeah, because they're thin and they stick in,
Yeah.
and you can't get away from them. These, all you got to do, and there's more space here between the spikes. You just got to pull them away from you, and it'll stay right here growing like that, and it won't ever lay down.
But
so
they will cut you.
oh, it's not a poke; it's a cut.
Yeah, it's a cut. And you can see why. Well, we can see, if you're not familiar with the saying, there's a saying like tough as a sawbriar. So that's why you can see. And like Katie mentioned, they are tougher. And there's a lot of people in our area, or I can think of 2 anyway, that's their nickname is sawbriar. And I'm assuming it's because they're really tough individuals.
I mean, big, and you're just in trouble if you get in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can be
Yeah, they can grow
30
up
feet
in
up a tree, and they're
they
just
grow so
down through there.
fast. You think that you cut them down and you come back and there they are again.
It's true. These things are pretty serious. Dad said his finger was sore because a big limb or a stick hit him right in the finger, and he said he was glad it hit him there and not in the face because it almost hit him in the face, but he said his finger's just throbbing. It looks bad too. It's all blue looking. There's you a sawbriar, and that's interesting how a limb has fallen and pulled that, but it's still, I mean, and just as far as you can see, it's going up in them limbs.
I don't know why they grow right through here. They
It's
do.
cool. You need a cheese stick? Or chapstick? Because I have a cheese stick and chapstick.
Katie's prepared.
The chapstick is cake flavored, but I wouldn't suggest eating it.
I need to get me some water.
Well, I have some. I'll go over there. I can bring you.
I brought some too.
No, we'll come running out here.
There it is.
Huh?
That's about all I can do with it from here, but you see my plan?
Yeah. Pretty smart.
That gives me some more cover, and it's still live,
That's it.
and it'll stay green year round.
That's right. That's smart. Why am I not that smart?
Alright, I need to probably do a little trimming up that way,
Far way, this way behind us.
just to make it a little easier to get in and out of here.
Okay. So Matt trimmed up his shooting lanes. Now we're headed back to the house, and he's just trimming up some of along the trail. Over time, even though we walk this trail a lot, the ivies and the laurels especially grow so quickly. Since he was already out here, he decided he would take time to trim a little bit on the trail to make it easier to walk when he was going in, or when we were going up the creek, or whatever we were doing. I could never run a chainsaw. I've never run one at all, and I really be too afraid to be honest with you. But I love to be around chainsaws. They remind me of Matt, of course, because he's been running a chainsaw since we were married. What was the first chainsaw you bought when we were married? Probably was it a Husqvarna?
Yeah, it was a little small Husqvarna 55, I think.
Yeah.
Still got it.
Yeah.
It still runs, I just don't use it.
Right, so then we got more money, you got a bigger one when we could afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even have one, and I bought that saw to clear off where our house is.
Yeah. Yeah, so well, we were already married, yeah, by the time you started the house. I mean,
I bought the saw sometime back before that.
Yeah.
Also, but that was what I had in mind,
Yeah.
was we didn't have one to clear off the timber
Yeah.
for where we ended up putting our house.
Yeah. So you grew up just using one with Papa Tony?
Not much.
Not
no.
much? So
we had a little old junky little something, I don't even remember what it was, and we didn't use it much.
So how'd you learn how?
I just bought one and cranked it and started cutting with it.
Yeah, of course you got to be safe, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, reminds me of Matt, because he's had one since we were first married, and cut wood for us and cut out, like he said, places for our house to be and other places where other houses were. It reminds me of Pap, and also of my Papa Wade, though. If there was anybody that loved to cut wood, it was Papa Wade. He took such delight in cutting wood. He was a logger from way back. So anytime I hear chainsaws or smell sawdust, I immediately think of Papa Wade. Pap told the best story about when Papa Wade was young, when Pap was just a boy. They, in those days, there wasn't many chainsaws, power saws is what they would call them, and they used a cross-cut saw to cut. That's what they did. But then him and a friend decided they would go in together, and they would buy a chainsaw, and they would buy it on times, the only way they could afford to buy it. And then they would, they were in business together as far as the logging was, and then that would, help them both make more money. The very first night that they had it, they left it on the other gentleman, he left it on his porch, like you would. You wouldn't take your chainsaw inside, especially not in those days. You wouldn't be worried about nobody stealing it. And horror of horrors happened. It come a bad storm and lightning struck the chainsaw. And Pap said he remembered the grown-ups were just like, oh Lord, it was like the worst thing that had ever happened, because they didn't know if they should even go in debt to buy the chainsaw. And now it was broke and they couldn't use it. It blew it up, and what were they going to do, And they were just devastated. And of course he said the women were both saying they shouldn't have bought it anyway, they should have known better and all this. But so they took it back to where they bought it, thinking that maybe they would give them money for, buy it for parts or something like that, and then they could try to pay off the bill. They wasn't going to get another chainsaw. They just thought they'd just have to try to pay it off. Anyway, when they took it back, the miracle of miracles happened. It turned out, because they were paying for it on time, there was some kind of little insurance policy attached to it. So it paid for it, and then they got another one.
Cool.
And then Pap said they didn't leave it outside for a long time because they were afraid.
Yeah.
So that was the first chainsaw story for Papa Wade. He had many after that, I know.
That's cool.
And I remember seeing them in the back of his truck. So eventually, I'm sure he kept them. I mean, once you got over the initial fear of leaving them outside and getting struck by lightning, and they become more prevalent and more affordable, I'm sure he didn't worry about it anymore. But Pap said he just remembered being a small boy, but really he felt so bad. Just both families were just devastated because they were going to still have to pay for that saw, and it was blowed up,
Yep. Things are different then.
Things were very different. But all that to say that I love to hear a chainsaw run, and I love to smell sawdust and see the chips fly.
Me too. I like to make firewood.